I met Elizabeth Bessant a while ago when Look Fabulous Forever did the makeup for a fashion show. I discovered that Elizabeth had not only designed, she'd also made all the very beautiful clothes in the fashion show, from special occasion day wear through to beautiful bridal and evening gowns. I was very, very impressed, and I thought she'd made a fantastic subject for our Ambassador series. Elizabeth started her working life as an artist. At a very young age, she had a work of art accepted into the summer exhibition at the Royal Academy, which was a massive accolade for someone so young. She stayed working successfully as an artist until her son Bill was born in 1989. Bill unfortunately had some developmental problems which were later diagnosed to be autism and dyspraxia. Elizabeth realised quite early on in Bill's life that she needed to change direction and do something that she could work at from home. So she turned to her second passion, which is needlework and dress design, and she's since built a fantastically successful business. She has a couture salon in Beauchamp Place, which is where she greets and meets and works with her clients, producing for them special occasion outfits which work perfectly for what they want. So Elizabeth, let me ask you, what do you enjoy most about being a couture dress designer?
Well, in the past, when I worked as an artist, it was a solitary thing. All of the creativity was done, shut away, and then suddenly, after my son was born, I realised there were people out there because I was forced to mix, to take part in what he needed. And then I realised it would be lovely in actual fact to do something where people were involved and where they fed your creativity, and to meet my clients. Having a publisher when I was an artist was always a barrier between me and having any feedback from anybody I created for. And now I get so much feedback which then feeds the creativity and takes me in all sorts of other directions.
Tell me, are there any challenges, any things that you find difficult about doing what you do?
Well, the challenge everybody always asks me about is, surely all the clients that come and see you aren't going to be supermodels with beautiful size 10 figures, and probably none of them are. But the thing I love is that to be able to make somebody who doesn't have the confidence of somebody who feels they're a size 10 feel amazing, make them look beautiful, make them and help them to understand that size is irrelevant to looking well groomed and well dressed and feeling comfortable.
Have you always been really artistic?
I was born artistic, yes. My earliest memories, when obviously as a very, very young child, toddler, things aren't put in front of you that you can use to create, everything's about learning. So I thought, nursery school, what can I find? Sand is boring, water play is boring, drinking straws. So I cut the drinking straws up and threaded them on string and made necklaces. At that point though, I never realised I would ever have any interest whatsoever in clothes and fashion. I always thought that I would be a fine artist because to me, the top of the creative tree was to be a pure artist.
So tell us about this accolade that you had of getting into the summer exhibition at the Royal Academy. How did that come about?
Well, at that point I was studying for my degree at Newport School of Art. And then in my final year, I thought, I am going to send some of my silkscreen prints to the Royal Academy summer exhibition. And I know they won't get accepted, so I won't tell anybody. But inside, I've always had this belief that I can do whatever I want to do. And it doesn't always work out, and that time it did. And it's the only time I've made my father cry. And when the card came through saying I had been accepted out of thousands of people to be hung in the summer exhibition, when I hadn't even left art school and I was so young and it was my first attempt, he said, I think we need a walk in the garden. And as we walked in the garden, I realised he had tears in his eyes. And if my father was alive now, he'd be almost 90, so he was still of the time where you never saw your father cry. And it was a happy tear.
Yeah, that's a lovely story. So what impact did having Bill have on your life, your business life?
Up until Billy was born, I worked all day and all night, literally. I mean, if I went to bed before 2 in the morning, I couldn't sleep because I would continue to create in my dreams. My whole world was about creating. My whole purpose was about creating. I got married in 1983 solely because my friends and brother and sister all got married, and at that point that is what you did. And within weeks of realising I was in an abusive marriage, I buried myself back in my creativity. And then in 1989, being fed the story that if you gave me a son and heir, then I could be nice to you, I went along with it. And then Billy was born, and the whole world was turned upside down. And within 3 months, he rejected me and Billy, and I could no longer continue my work as an artist because with silkscreen you're working with paints, inks, chemicals, and you can't do that from home. And I had two choices: give up on my son or make him the focus of everything in my world and give him the same amount of time and determination and self-belief that up to that point I'd given my work. And that whatever anybody told me, parents, friends, doctors, counsellors, it did not matter, because Billy was going to do everything that he could possibly do.
So you obviously had quite a few challenges with Billy when he was little. So how did you manage some of those problems and continue to support yourself?
Well, obviously the first issue was that at that point, although my husband was still on the periphery, financially I needed to be able to support myself and Bill. And the first thing was, what can I do working from home? Luckily, again, self-belief, I thought, I can sew, I can design, I can do all this. And so I put together a collection. I saw an advert in a trade paper for Chelsea Collections where you could rent a rail, went along there, presented myself as a designer, put a collection in there and sold my first outfit 20 years ago for £1,000 in the first week. So I thought, I can do this. That's that sorted. Now we need to start the campaign to get Billy diagnosed and to get him all the help that he needs. So that was my next project.
So when did you realise that you needed to get help with Billy and find out really what the problems were?
I don't think I ever did realise it. After Billy was born, because I hadn't been around people with children, firstly, I wasn't aware that he wasn't developing. And then I was convinced that everybody else had a super child, rather than realising that's what children were actually meant to be doing, or young babies were meant to be doing. I bluffed my way through the health visitor visits, and it took a long time before I stopped realising that I wasn't a bad mother. It didn't matter how hard I tried, Billy was not going to make the milestones. And still I then believed that if I paid for a good starter school, that would be the answer. And 2 terms in, they called me in and said, I'm sorry, but there's no room for a delinquent here. All he does is scribble all over a red pen. Will you please agree to pay for a psychoeducational psychologist to diagnose him or take him away?
How old was he at this
He was
stage?
just, 4.5.
Right.
So I agreed, and the educational psychologist said to me, I'm disgusted he's been called a delinquent, take him away from this school. Well, I didn't need to, because the next day they kicked him out.
Right, okay.
And I went home and thought, where do I go from here?
And you eventually got him into a very good school, I think.
Well, at 8 he started at a special needs school, and that was the best thing that has ever happened for Bill and for me. Suddenly his world started to open up and he started to learn, and suddenly people started to like me, and Billy started to get friends, because up to that point we were basically lepers, because nobody wanted their children to mimic or supposedly catch what they thought my son had.
Yeah.
And now I was in, Tricia's favourite word, I was in a tribe of like-minded people.
Indeed, and it's a lovely story actually, because he went on to go to university.
He did.
Yeah, and he now works and
Yes.
And has a girlfriend and actually has a really good life.
He has a fantastic life.
Thanks to you in lots of ways, and all the things that you went through in the early days. I'd like to go back to your business now. How do your clients find out about you?
Now I would say 90% of my clients come through recommendation, and it's not just to do with the outfits I've made, it's to do with how comfortable I make people feel, how understanding I am. And I often say, maybe I should sell counselling and give the clothes away, because what it is that I offer is a full package of making somebody feel good about themselves, creating the outfit for the event, helping them with their accessories, their underpinnings, as we call it, and also anything else they want to talk about, you know,
So
somewhere where they can offload.
So you're a combination of a therapist and a dress designer.
Exactly.
How do you go about creating the perfect outfit for your clients? What's your approach?
Well, to get to know somebody. So when a client arrives, I always ask them if they would like tea, coffee. Some like Prosecco. And that's solely because I want them to sit down, relax, like I'm their friend, and chat to me so that I can get all the information I need to understand them. Because when somebody walks in the door, I could look at them and think, well, you're a particular shape, therefore this and this would fit you, those colours will suit you, job done. But it isn't, because I have to take on board, number one, what the occasion is. Two, some colours will be out of bounds because maybe the bride's wearing, or the mother of the bride, or you know, whatever. Some events stipulate no black. Some events these days, even weddings, are stipulating they do want black. And then there's the personality of the person, and you can put somebody in something that looks amazing and suits them and ticks all the boxes as far as I'm concerned as a designer. But if it's too far away from their normal style, they will feel like a fish out of water. And they will wear that outfit once for the event, and they will never wear it again. And they won't come and see me again because I took them too far away from where they're comfortable.
And I just want to ask you about how you feel about getting older yourself. I think you're in your late 50s, is that right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. And you have totally natural dark hair still, yes, which is absolutely amazing. So how do you feel about getting older?
My life is so much easier now I'm older, because I now have, I believe in myself. I've now had enough success in my life to believe I have got some self-worth. I realised all the things I didn't like when I was young were actually attributes, like being tall and thin, like having dark hair, like having high cheekbones. I've suddenly realised actually they're all good things to have. And you're no longer, and I love being around young people, and I don't see them as competition. I'm not out trying to attract a husband, a partner, a mate in the same way that you are when you're very young. So it's total freedom.
And what would you say your approach to beauty and style is now that you're older?
Style, I have to say I stay within my tribe, and certain parts of that was set up very young. I mean, when I was at art school at the age of 20, I had coloured tights, fancy nails and long dark hair, and those three things have stuck. Although within the clothes I wear now, I make sure they're quirky but age appropriate. And with regard to makeup, I'm happy in makeup when I'm in a position where the occasion warrants it, like seeing a client or going out for the evening, but I'm also just as happy without makeup.
And we've done your makeup today. We've used warm tone colours on you, which work brilliantly, yeah, with your colouring. And I think that lipstick's Russet, which is it's one of our new ones, and it looks brilliant on you. It looks absolutely lovely. Brings your whole face to life. So you look absolutely gorgeous. Elizabeth, thank you so much. I've so enjoyed talking to you. It's been fascinating. So thank you.
It was an absolute pleasure.